Fox is a phoenix, Harry. They burst into flame when it is time for them to die, and then they are reborn from the ashes. Fascinating creatures, phoenixes.
Hey everyone, Britta Albert here. If this is your first time here, I'm a spiritual transformational life coach. It's my goal for this channel to help you overcome the obstacles that are standing in the way of you living your best and most authentic life. In today's video, I want to talk about the Phoenix Complex. What is the Phoenix Complex? Well, let's start with what is a phoenix? A phoenix is a mythological creature that has eternal life. Every time that the phoenix dies, it bursts into flames, and through the flames comes new life. It becomes born again. The old burns away, and then there is a new life. The phoenix is often used as an example of somebody who overcomes adversity. If you identify with the phoenix, it's generally because you've had a lot of struggles in your life and you've come out on the other side as a better person. The phoenix is actually something that's really important to me personally, so much so that I actually got it tattooed on my body. For me, the phoenix represents how many times I've restarted in my life, that I've rose from the ashes. The old me has burned away, and when you burn, it hurts, right? But out of that suffering comes new life. It's a rebirth. Now, there's nothing wrong with identifying with the phoenix. As I said, personally, it's one of my most favorite mythological creatures, something that I have actually tattooed on my own body because of how much it means to me and the symbolism of the phoenix and how much I personally identify with it. Recently, though, I came to realize that one of the things that I was struggling with is a phoenix complex. Now that you understand what the phoenix is, what is a phoenix complex? Phoenix complex is when you constantly feel like you have to always be on fire. And I'm not talking about being on fire for life and being on fire for this next project and really just so that excitement, that elation that a lot of times you hear with being on fire. I'm talking about the thought process or the belief system that you literally have to suffer in order to grow. You don't always need to be on fire in order to experience your power or to experience personal growth. So with the Phoenix Complex, again, it's that idea of that I rise from the ashes. Every time that I go through this struggle or I go through this event or this happens in my life and I'm able to overcome this adversity, I'm able to overcome this suffering, I'm a much stronger person than I was. It's not untrue, however, that is just another way that the ego wants to feel special. Now, the ego is very tricky, and you need to be aware of how the ego speaks to you or how you listen to the ego. Because to say, I'm special, I always overcome, or I went through this and this and this, and therefore now I'm a better person than I was, on the surface it doesn't sound like it's something egotistical, right? But really what it is it's just another label for victimhood. And as we've learned, victimhood does nothing but rob you of your power. How do you take back your power? By understanding that you are never a victim in any circumstance. You can experience something, but you are not a victim. Things happen that you experience. You say, well, I was raped. I was a victim of rape. I didn't choose that. No. Maybe not externally. There might be something that your higher self chose to experience through that, because who has it made you become now? If you believe that you're a victim, you're constantly giving your power away to the person who hurt you. Now, you don't have to be spiritual, you don't have to be religious, or any of that. You don't have to believe anything that I say. If you go to any counselor, if you go to any therapist, if you go to any doctor, psychologist, they're all going to say the same thing. That if you believe that you're a victim, you're still giving power to that person or that situation, you're holding yourself back. So by me believing that I must burn, that I must be on fire, that I must suffer in order to have personal growth, it doesn't make me really excited some days at the prospect of becoming a better me. So it's time to change my belief system. It's time to change the way that I see myself, the way that I think about myself, and the way that I understand my own power and personal authority. I can be just as powerful as I always believed that I was without needing to suffer. I do not need to burn. I do not need to be on fire in order to access the full potential of my growth, of my power, of my understanding of my personal authority, of my ability to create my life, to be a creator, to manifest. I can have all of those things, and I do not need to be on fire, to suffer, to have resistance in order to achieve that. If you look back at primary school and middle school and high school and college, as you learned each thing, once you learn something, you can never unlearn it, okay? You don't graduate high school and then have to go back to kindergarten and understand the same and relearn the same mathematics as you did when you were in kindergarten. You don't lose it, it's there. So in the same way, think about the lessons that you learned. There were some lessons that you loved. We all had our favorites. And there were some classes that you just dreaded because you didn't get it or you just weren't invested in it. It wasn't something that you were really interested in. There were some that were a lot more challenging than others. There were some projects that stressed you out, that you had to stay up late, especially when you get into college and you have all these papers and these really big exams. Those will be more of your suffering moments, those suffering lessons. But how many lessons along the way did you have that were not suffering? They were either joyous or maybe just benign. You didn't feel one way or another about them. They were neutral. So if you didn't have to suffer each time you learned something then, why do you have to suffer each time you learn something now? Why do you have to suffer every time you expand your consciousness? The answer is you don't. If you believe that suffering is needed in order for you to succeed, or that you must have an underdog story in order to be successful, then that's what you will experience. But if you're tired of that and you no longer wish to participate in that belief system, then you have the authority and the power to change it. So for me, in my personal growth, in my own understanding, I no longer choose to play in the paradigm that I must suffer in order to grow, that I must be in mental anguish to experience anxiety or experience depression in order to move past this obstacle. It's no longer necessary. I choose to receive insight with grace and gentleness and joy. That is the experience that I wish to be a part of. Is there richness in some of the suffering? Yes. I'm not going to say I hate all of it, because there's nothing sweeter for me personally than when I have been in anguish and I have a breakthrough in healing and I'm able to say forgive for the first time, or I'm able to let go and break free, experiencing that dark night of the soul. There was a sweetness to it. There was a miraculous, phenomenal, you want to drop to your knees and just praise God of how amazing that revelation is. There is so much beauty in the other side of suffering that I didn't want to let that go. I didn't want to not experience that in many ways. So I can choose if I want to suffer and feel what that feels like to be on the other side of suffering. But in those moments where I'm resisting growth because I don't want to suffer, I also have free will, and I don't need to suffer. I don't need to always be on fire to experience my power or experience my potential. And neither do you. If you don't want to suffer anymore, you have the power and the authority of your life to choose to not burn and resist and experience suffering and be on fire. And if you want to use that fire to pull you out of whatever situation you're in, sometimes that fire can turn to anger. And if you were at a place of hopelessness, on the energetic scale, say hopelessness is here, anger is going to be here, happiness is up here. So it's funny because anger is actually above hopelessness. You can use that fire to bring you that power here, to get to anger, to get you out of the situation that you're in right now, to give you the courage that you need to propel you forward, to let go or walk away or change your life or whatever it is that's holding you back. Yes, you can shift that way. But it's not necessary for you to have to do that and move in these baby steps if you don't want to anymore. You can go from hopelessness to happiness and do the quantum jump now. You have that ability and that authority in your life to choose. I no longer want to be participating in the Phoenix complex. I know that I am strong. I am an overcomer. I've proven this time and time and time to myself. I no longer need to experience the same thing over again and over again and over again and over again to prove to myself who I am, because I already know. So I choose to participate in these next stages of growth and self-development pain-free. I'm not saying things won't happen, but your perception of them does not have to be pain any longer. You can experience the exact same situation with peace and joy and happiness, understanding that it's for your best betterment, that it's working together for your highest good. You get to choose. You no longer have to be on fire. I love you guys so much. If this is your first time here, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. And also, if this video resonated with you, go ahead and hit the thumbs up. And if you feel led to share this with somebody, please listen to that calling. That is your guides. That is your higher self. That is your angels. Share this with whoever is popping into your mind right now, and help us not only grow this community, but be a blessing to as many people as possible, and let them know that it is in their power to no longer suffer. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.